All right, so bit of a different type of video today. I'll have some book reviews and thoughts coming soon, but today I wanted to do something kind of fun, and I'm going to be tier ranking all of the independent bookstores that I have been to. Most of these are going to be from the Metro Detroit area, Wayne County, Oakland County, and Macomb County. There will be a couple from other parts of Michigan, and then there will be a couple from places that I've been on vacation, New York, Chicago, New Orleans mainly, I think. Um, and yeah, I try to go to a bookstore every time I'm in a new city, so there will be some from other parts of the U.S. aside from Michigan. They are all going to be from the U.S. though. I've been out of the country a couple times, but we used to go to Canada once in a while when I was a little kid, but I was, a little kid, so I wasn't shopping for books. And then I've been to India more recently, but I didn't do any book shopping while I was there. Uh, it was not a city that tends to get a lot of Western tourists, so I don't think they would have even had bookstores with English language books necessarily. Um, well, I don't know. It was also in a part of India where English is somewhat of a lingua franca, so maybe they would have, but I don't know. I didn't really have time for it. So this is all going to be US, mostly Michigan, and specifically mostly Southeast Michigan. But let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to pull up. This is the Archives Bookshop. This is in East Lansing. I'm going to find where's Curious because these are sister locations. They're both owned by the same guy. Um, this one's kind of right. Curious Bookshop is in like right off of campus on Grand River, and then Archives is a little further down Grand River, kind of not super close to where students tend to be when they first walk off of campus. But they're both in East Lansing, Michigan, owned by the same guy. I think Curious is the nicer one out of the two. I think I'm gonna put them both in B. Um, yeah, they both have kind of that claustrophobic, disorganized vibe that I actually kind of like from an independent bookstore. Archives is a little bit bigger, but I think Curious, has a better selection. Like it's fewer books, but it seems like they put the better stuff in Curious because it's the one that seems to get more traffic. Honestly, I don't know why the guy owns Archives. I don't know if Archives makes money independent from Curious. I think it's kind of just Archives is almost like a storage unit for him. I had a friend in college who worked at Curious and occasionally worked at Archives, and the guy he just kind of he compulsively buys books. Like he'll go to estate sales and just buy all the books that are at the estate sale, um, and then maybe eventually they get sorted and put out for sale, but sometimes they just sit in a basement of one of the two stores. So yeah, I think they're both B tier, but I think Curious is a little nicer. Nothing, just nothing bad, but nothing super special about either of these. Curious was my go-to bookstore when I was at Michigan State, so yeah. So that's those. Let's see, what else do I want to pull up? Oh, so while we're on the subject of when I was in college, I'm gonna pull up Schuler's. I think I'm gonna, it's either the top of C or the bottom of B. So Schuler's it is kind of an interesting thing. It is an independent bookstore. It's family owned, but it is a chain. There's, I think, four locations: Grand Rapids, East Lansing, or technically it might be in Okemos, not East Lansing. And then there's one in Ann Arbor, and then the newest one is in West Bloomfield, Michigan, which is closer to where I live now, although I haven't actually been to it yet, and it's been open for like 4 years. But anyways, 3.5 years actually. Anyways, Schuler is like it really feels like a Barnes and Noble or like a Borders, if you remember Borders, and I think actually the founders of Schuler worked at Borders before they opened their own store. So it feels like one of those corporate bookstores. Like it's really big. It's very clean. Everything's very organized. There's a huge selection. So if you're looking for that experience, but you want your money to go towards like a family-run independent business, that's exactly what Schuler's is for. But I don't find myself going there super often because most of the time, if I'm shopping for books in person, it's because I want to kind of dig through some jumbled up nonsense, disorganized clutter, and Schuler's is not that at all. So I'm gonna say it's at the bottom of B tier for me. What do we want to go to next? Let's talk about John K. King. So this is going to go in S tier. Absolutely, this is the first S tier. John K. King is in downtown Detroit. It's in a building that used to be like I don't know, like a warehouse or like a factory, but like a factory around like the turn of the 20th century. You know, like a wood and brick building. You know, yeah, like that kind of vibe. But it's a bookstore. It's got 4 stories. It's pretty well organized actually, but there's just so many books. Like it's one of the largest independent bookstores in the country. That's an S tier for me. I love John K. King. I don't make it down there very often, but yeah, it's great. And then we'll also pull up, where did I put it? John K. King has a secondary location, and I know it, yeah, there it is. So I'm going to put this, I'm going to say this is like, could it be high B? I'm going to say it's in A, but it's going to end up being towards the bottom of A as we put more things in A. John K. King North is kind of their secondary location. It's much closer to where I live, but it's smaller. It's in this weird zone where it's bigger than almost anything else on this list, but it's way smaller than John K. King. It's yeah, the storefront is like, I don't know, the size of like a small Ace Hardware, if you can picture that kind of size, or like almost the size of like a dance studio, maybe, like that kind of size of a building, but it's just full of bookshelves. I do like it. This is kind of my go-to bookstore right now. It's within walking distance for me. It's pretty big, great selection. Nothing super special about it, but just the fact that it's so close to me and the fact that it is quite big compared to most of the rest of this list is what puts it in A rather than B. And then also kind of on the subject of giant bookstores like John K. King, let's pull up the Book Loft. So this is going to go, it's not quite S for me. It's going to go at the top of A tier. The Book Loft, similar to John K. King in the sense that it's just this massive bookstore, like over 1 million books in there, I think. It's in Columbus, Ohio. I've been there a couple times. I try to go to the Book Loft whenever I'm in Columbus, although I haven't the last couple times actually. But the Book Loft, oh, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think it might actually be S. And honestly, objectively, it's a cooler atmosphere than John K. King. But it's just, I'm biased towards Michigan, so I'm just arbitrarily putting John K. King higher. But the Book Loft is like, it's more of a residential building, and it almost feels like there's like 4 or 5 residential buildings that have been like glued together. Like you'll walk from one room into another, and like the floor will go like up or down 3 inches, as if it's like 2 different houses that have been connected haphazardly. Really weird, cool building. Lots and lots of books. Yeah. Book Loft is great. And then what should we do next? Ooh, let's pull up, I think this one doesn't have a sign in it, but I'm pretty sure this is a picture of, is that? Let me look at the other pictures. Yeah, this has to be Loganberry Books in Cleveland, Ohio. I was in Cleveland a few years ago visiting the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And the morning before we drove home, we stopped at a bookstore. It's called Loganberry. Really cool building from the outside. It's like purple, and there's like a mural of books. And then on the inside, it's lots of different rooms that all have very different aesthetics, kind of like the Book Loft Columbus, but a little bit less haphazard in the way that they're connected. It does feel like one building in a way that the Book Loft does not. But yeah, it's massive. I think it's probably actually bigger than John K. King North. If I lived in Cleveland, this would probably be my go-to bookshop, although I don't think I've been to any other bookstores in Cleveland. Maybe there's other good ones. I don't know. But Loganberry's great. If I'm ever in Cleveland again, I will stop there for sure, but I don't know why I would ever be in Cleveland again. Sorry, Cleveland. Uh, let's talk about New Orleans. Let's talk about New Orleans. Dauphin Street Books is, I think, going to go right behind Loganberry. Um, yeah, so I've been to New Orleans for Mardi Gras a couple times. I've got some friends who live in New Orleans. I try to visit them from time to time, although one of them just moved back to Michigan. Um, but yeah, Dauphin Street Books, I think, is my favorite of the New Orleans bookstores that I've been to. Really, really small and cramped and disorganized, but the books in there are just like there's so much cool stuff. There's just like it's like if you took all the best, coolest, most interesting, obscure books from something that would be in the B tier and just condensed it into a slightly smaller and less organized building. That's Dauphin Street. So I love that. Let's see, other New Orleans on here. I think this one, I can't really read the sign, but I'm pretty sure this is Crescent City Books. I'm going to say Crescent City goes in B, and I'm going to say it's, actually, yeah, that works, in between Curious and Archives. We're breaking up the siblings there. So Crescent City, cool bookstore, just nothing super special about it. It's just, a generally good, small indie bookstore. And then there was one other from New Orleans. Let's see, where did I put it? We're looking for Faulkner House. Did I not upload the picture of Faulkner House? I must have. Where did it? Okay, maybe I'll go through the rest of these and maybe we'll find it. But, did I somehow miss? Maybe I did. Well, if I missed it, it won't be on here because there's not a picture. But Faulkner House Books in New Orleans it's cool. It's in a house that William Faulkner lived in. So it's cool just for that idea. I was gonna honestly put it in like the bottom of B though, maybe even C, just because it's incredibly small. Like I think the building used to be William Faulkner's house, but the bookstore is basically just in like one room of William Faulkner's house. It's very small, very limited selection. They've got a lot of like classics, including William Faulkner, of course. A lot of poetry. I think when we were there, my girlfriend bought a book of poems by E. E. Cummings, I think. And I think I bought, what did I buy? I might have bought something by Faulkner, actually. But yeah, so it's cool just for the novelty of the fact that it's in William Faulkner's house, but not a bookstore that I would frequent. Yeah, I can't believe I didn't put a picture for that one. Okay. Well, let's just go to the top of the list. So this is Argos. So Argos is in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I think it's going to go here. I think it's B. Again, similar to Crescent City in New Orleans, Argos Bookshop in Grand Rapids is kind of just, it's just a generally pretty nice independent bookstore. But nothing that makes it stand out in particular. So, yeah. I'm looking at these pictures again. I really can't believe I didn't put the picture for Faulkner House. All right. Well, and then while we're talking about Argos, we got to bring up Redux Books. It's right next door. I think slightly denser. I think it's got more books in a smaller building. And it's got a basement that's kind of fun to look around in. I think it's actually very similar to Archives in East Lansing, and I don't know whether to put it ahead or behind Archives. I think I'm going to put it ahead. Yeah. Dawn Treader Bookshop. This is in Ann Arbor. I don't go to Ann Arbor very often, but I do like the Dawn Treader Bookshop. I think, very similar to what I've said about these other B tier ones, aside from Schuler. Schuler's its own thing, but basically everything else in B tier is just like, yeah, it's a nice little indie bookstore, but nothing super special about it. I think Dawn Treader is like a really, really good version of that, and it's very similar to Curious. I'm going to put it right behind Curious. Very arbitrary, just I like Curious better because I went to Michigan State. If I went to U of M, I would probably swap these around, but whatever. Yeah, and then let's start talking about some other cities I've been to before we finish up the last few in Michigan. So, where did I don't even know what that picture is. We're gonna have to narrow that down. Kramer's. This is in Washington, D.C. And I'm gonna say, so the food there is really good. They've got a little cafe. We had breakfast there while we were on a trip to DC. But the books is like, I don't know, it's mostly new books, which is not really my thing. And it's kind of small. Like a big chunk of the building is the cafe. So I'm gonna put it in C. And then coming back to Michigan real quick, we're gonna talk about another C that is a C for very similar reasons. This is Sidetrack Bookshop in Royal Oak, Michigan. Very nice, very clean, very organized, but it's all new books. They don't have a used section, and it's very small, which is like, I don't have a use case for that. If I'm buying new books, I'm either going to just do it online, or I'm going to go to, a place with a big selection like Schuler. So yeah, Sidetrack is over here. Sorry guys. And then, so this is Horizon Books. This is in Traverse City, Michigan. So it's kind of got a similar thing going on to these that I've put in C so far, but I'm actually going to bump it up to B. Right above Schuler's. Horizon, so it's mostly new books, but they have this section upstairs, because it is a multi-story bookstore in downtown Traverse City. Horizon Books has this section that honestly I think is of questionable legality. They've got a section of advanced reader copies. Like they've got I think 2 shelves that are all just advanced reader copies, which like are specifically labeled not for retail sale. They're supposed to only be read by the advanced readers that have been sent a copy by the author or the publisher. And they're not like leaking. These are advanced reader copies of books that have since come out. So they're not leaking anything that's not supposed to be out yet. But it's just this specific copy, like it might be slightly different from the version that was eventually published. It's going to have a different cover in most cases. And it's just these were copies that were sent to people who are supposed to be advanced readers, and they're not supposed to be for sale. So I don't know how they're getting away with that. But just for the novelty of that, they're in B rather than C. Another S tier. This is Kazoo Books in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I almost want to put it on the top. No, I'm going to say bottom of S tier. Kazoo Books in Kalamazoo, Michigan. It's such a cool little shop. It's it's 2 buildings. The one in the picture is the annex, and then the main building is connected to it by this like deck thing. The main building has 2 floors, I think, or maybe 3. But yeah, it's really big, really cool atmosphere in there. The bottom floor especially is very, very cool. It's got like wood floors, like old wood shelves. It's a lot of like history books and other types of nonfiction down there. I think some classics maybe as well. So yeah, love Kazoo Books. I'm not in Kalamazoo very frequently, but next time I'm there, I'm going to try to come back to Kazoo Books. I think I might end up competing in the Highland Games in Kalamazoo in September, so that might be the next time I'm there. Squirreled Away Books. So this is again, it's one of these just B tier cool little bookstores. I'm gonna put it right behind Dawn Treader because no, I'm thinking about it more. I don't think I actually bought anything there. I'm gonna bump it down to right here. No, I bought something there, but I don't know. It was very small, not a big selection. Cool atmosphere though. It's in Armada, Michigan, which is like kind of out there, like an hour north of Detroit, I think. I grew up kind of near there. And I was kind of just driving around that area a couple years ago. I had like a week off of work for something, and I was feeling nostalgic about my hometown, so I drove up there, and then I was kind of driving through Ann Arbor, and I found this cute little bookshop. So it was a cool day. I don't remember what book I bought there though, and it's not like I wouldn't go back there just for the bookstore. So yeah, that's a lower B tier. Okay, this I think, again, no sign, but I think this is a picture of Open Books Chicago. This is like, no, this is A actually, and I don't know if it's, It's almost tied with Dauphin Street, I would say, but very different reasons. Dauphin is like you want to like dig through buried treasure or dig for buried treasure, dig through a bunch of stuff to find buried treasure. Um, Open books is like you're gonna find what you're looking for, and they're gonna have almost anything that you're looking for. It's mostly used books. They have a new book section near the front, but it's mostly used books. And it's huge. Again, I think probably similar to like John K. King North or Loganberry over in Cleveland. Yeah, Open Books Chicago, very cool store. The other Chicago bookstore I've been to is Quimby's. And okay, so I think Quimby's is actually going to go top of B tier. Quimby's Chicago is going to go top of B tier. Um, yeah, similar to things I've said about the other B tier books. Quimby's NYC, though, which I think is the older of the two locations, this is all the way at the top. It might even be bottom of S tier. It's tiny, but everything in there is good. You're not like all the books in there are things that you're gonna pick up and look at before you decide whether or not to buy them. Like there's no trash there. Everything in there is good, and they've got cats, and they've got a cool black and white checkered tile floor. I love Quimby's NYC. I've only been there once. I've only been to New York City once. But I'm gonna go back to Quimby's next time I'm in New York City. The other New York bookstore that I went to was Spoonbill in Sugartown, which is actually a very similar vibe to Open Books Chicago, I would say, in terms of like uh, they have some new books, also a lot of used books, very organized. They're probably going to have what you're looking for, but it is a little bit smaller. I'm going to put it right here, bottom of A tier for Spoonbill in Sugartown. We're running out here. We're getting through most of them. This I think is no sign. I couldn't find a picture of the sign on Google, but this is C. McNeil Book Dealer in Berkeley, Michigan. Definitely B tier. I'm just deciding where it fits. I'm gonna say here. Yeah, it's a pretty packed one. They've got a lot in there. Paper Trail Books, this is kind of my other go-to bookstore right now, aside from John K. King North. This is in Royal Oak, Michigan, very close to Sidetrack, but I like it a lot better because it's used books. They've got a nice wood floor. They have a classics section that is like separate from the other like general general fiction, and then they also have a medieval shelf of books from the Middle Ages. I like the way that things are organized in there. This is gonna go, yeah, we're gonna put it right there. Yeah, it's looking like I did not put the picture of Faulkner House in here. Anyways, Brown's Family Bookstore. This is in St. Clair Shores, Michigan. Nice bookstore. Nothing really special about it. I think the people who run it are really into fantasy, like Game of Thrones and stuff. I think I talked to them about Game of Thrones when I was checking out. So just for the fact that the owner or the whoever I was talking to was pretty cool, and I think they had some cool like decorations behind the register there. That's gonna bump it up to like the middle of B tier, but it is definitely B tier. Yeah, right there. Okay. On the library bookstore, this is pretty close to me. I don't go there as much as John K. King North, though, just because it's very small. Yeah, I'm going to say we're going to put this, we'll put it ahead of Archives. There's a lot now in between Curious and Archives. Yeah, interesting. Anyways, Toadvine. This is another of my go-tos right now, and I'm going to say we'll put it at the bottom of S. I love Toadvine books so much. They don't have a cat, which is what puts them below Quimby's NYC. But otherwise, it's very similar to Quimby's NYC in the sense that it's very small, but it feels very curated. There's no trash. You're gonna find something good whenever you go there. I love Toadvine so much. Great little bookstore. If you're in Oakland County, Michigan, and you like books, you have to go to Toadvine. If you go to only one book from that, or one bookstore from that area, it should be Toadvine. What is this? I can't read. Okay, I'm going to leave that for now because I don't remember what that is. Second story books. This was Chicago. I liked it a lot better than Kramer's. Pretty big, mostly used books. I'm going to put it towards the top of B tier. We're going to put it right behind Crescent City. Black Dog Books and Records. This is in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Feels very similar to Spoonbill and Sugartown, and we're going to put it right behind Spoonbill and Sugartown. Actually, yeah, yeah. I think that's an appropriate place. What does this say? I gotta think about this for a second. Cause okay, let me run through. It's not, I know we're missing Faulkner House, but that's not what Faulkner House looks like at all. What could that be? What am I leaving out? Ooh, I don't even recognize what that. Oh, that's what this is. So this is Higgins Brothers books in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So based on like the atmosphere and the selection of books, it's solidly B tier, but I'm gonna bump them up to A. Because they have cats. They've got, I think, 3 cats that wander around the store, and they're big and fluffy, long-haired cats, and you can pet them, and they're very friendly, and that was awesome. I was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, visiting some family. We stopped at a bookstore on the way out, and it was Higgins Brothers, and it was great. So I didn't put anything in D. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I like books, so a bookstore would have to be pretty bad to be a D tier bookstore, I guess. Kramer's and Sidetrack are C tier just purely because they have mostly new books, and that's not really my thing. Schuler's would be there, but it gets bumped up just for the fact that it's so big. Horizon gets bumped up because of the ARC shelf, which I don't know how they're getting away with that. I don't know. Maybe it's like once the actual published version of the book is out, maybe the publishers just don't care about the arcs anymore. Because again, it's not like they're leaking anything. These are books that have since been published. Anyways, that's my tier ranking of all the bookstores I've been to, except for Faulkner House, because I forgot to upload the picture of Faulkner House. But I think I said it would have been C. Because yeah, I mean, you go there for the novelty of the fact that it's in William Faulkner's old house. It's not actually a very big selection. Yeah, so John K. King in Detroit, Bookloft in Columbus, Kazoo in Kalamazoo, Quimby's NYC in Williamsburg, I think. It's definitely in Brooklyn. I don't remember exactly what neighborhood. And Toadvine in Berkeley, Michigan are our S tier books. And my go-to bookstores that I frequent right now are Toadvine, John K. King North, and where did I put Paper Trail? Oh, Paper Trail's right here. Paper Trail's pretty good. Yeah. So that's my tier ranking of all the bookstores I've been to. Hope you found that interesting. And if you live in any of the cities mentioned, I hope you check out some of these bookstores. And thank you for watching.